So this is the dashboard. You've got your notices, features and notices, leads. You can move these items around. And we haven't added a lot to the dashboard since the initial launch, but when we do, those items will show up here, and then you'll be able to add those new dashboard items. Now, in most cases, if it's something that we're going to add to the dashboard, we'll do that automatically and just show that, push that out to most dashboards. Now, if you have any questions about the dashboard, you can go in here, and it'll show the drop-down. Anytime you have, this is what's called page help. So anytime you're on a page and you're stuck, we don't have this on every single page right now, but anytime you get stuck, you can just click that and then click on the info or the link, and it'll take you out to the knowledge base. So that takes you to the dashboard widgets section. So again, page help, anytime you get lost. In some of the widgets, you can go directly to the tab, like the Pages tab and so on, and in some you don't. We have MLS info here, so anytime you have multiple MLSs, you'll see that. You'll see the latest update as well on the MLS. And any email updates that go out, you'll see that. And then you can click through to the Mail Center and visit that. Quick question here about leads. Somebody looking at leads and wondering whether leads go through and are sent out. Yes, all notifications go out to the primary person, the primary email address on the account. So you should be receiving those emails. If you're not receiving those emails and you're seeing leads sign up and showing up in the system, then that may be an issue where you need to go in and uncheck or remove spam filters or change spam filters so that those can go through. Any tips and tricks, Pages Health, and then account notes. This is sometimes if you're waiting on an MLS, so you can, and then again, if you're waiting on an MLS to be approved, you can move that up. So let's move on to traffic stats and take a look at that page. So we have ways to group it. You can look at the raw traffic data, so you can pull that. You can even export the traffic data. So you can pull that data and then merge it with any traffic data that you have on your website. And then there's a little help here section here, just a kind of a hits total for each page. Which page is generating the most traffic, and then sometimes there are page not found errors. In that case, it can be a case of there's something in the wrapper or there's something that needs to be attended to. So anytime you see that, that shouldn't show up on most accounts, but if you do see that, definitely send that off to us. Now we also have archives. So you have an archive of all your traffic, and what we do is we archive this data so that this traffic table is very fast. So you're able to get that traffic information loaded up in the table very quickly. Let's move on to notifications. So here we've got notifications, and looks like we have a little text standardization here, but this is typically how it looks. The notification will look, and you can click through, and in most cases it'll be a new feature. What we're doing right now is we're really doing our best to push out new features every 2 to 3 weeks, typically every 3 weeks, and so we'll have a set of new features, usually between 3 to 7 new features that we can push out, and then we do our best to announce that in the control panel. In some cases, we'll announce that via email as well. So just keep an eye on that, and then usually there's often a knowledge base article that goes with the new feature. So and then I'll touch a little bit on the new features that we've launched recently during this webinar, and we can talk about that. If you have any questions about those, definitely post those questions. This is API key control. API key control allows you, your developer, if you're a WordPress user, you can reset the key if you feel like, for security purposes or what have you. So this is what the API is for. API traffic, it just tells you the traffic to the API. For those of you that may be new to IDX Broker Platinum, I would just keep in mind that I'm doing my best to cover everything all at once. So this isn't so much of a getting started video, There is one on our knowledge base. If you go to kb.idxbroker.com, there is a link to a getting started video that's really pretty short. It's about 5 minutes, and it just talks about, it kind of walks you through the highlights of the control panel. This is really a webinar designed to sort of pick interest. Anytime there's something of interest to you, go ahead and post the question, and then that way we can get a better understanding for challenges that you may be facing and address those in future webinars as well. So, and again, the webinar is kb.idxbroker.com. So, and that's a webinar or a video, and that video up in the navigation, that video is basically a getting started video. So it's it skips a lot of some of these new features that I'll talk about today. So I would recommend that you stay in this webinar, and then of course you can review this webinar afterwards because it's recorded. So I am going to move a little bit fast because we have a lot of people that are familiar with IDX Broker, and then also because we've recorded this and we can move or we could share that so you can look at specific segments of the webinar and pages and then listen to that piece, review it on your own time, and take it from there. So again, back to the API key control. The API key control is usually relevant only to web developers, or if you have a web developer and they work with a CRM that works with our system, like a Tribus or a RealPro Systems. Anytime you have something like that, then the API key will come in handy. Typically, it's only valid for the developer. So the developer really only needs to know that this is where they would find the key. So API traffic, there's documentation for your developer as well. And for those of you that are asking about CRMs, I'll cover that in a minute when we get to the leads section. We do have a few CRMs that are automatically integrated, Top Producer, RealPro Systems, and Tribus, and we're looking at adding additional CRMs as well. There are some ways for CRMs to parse the emails that go out, the email notifications that go out to you, and then parse those. I think that Salesforce Property Base has an option that allows you to just use their email address and then use their CRM with our system, and so that way anytime a new lead comes in, it goes in there too. So let's go back here to let's go now to the next tab, and the next tab is Account and then Message Center. Now this is a really cool new feature in Platinum, not available in the original product, and there are actually quite a few here that aren't available in the original product. And that's the ability to see what sort of emails have gone out. So from this tab, you can go in and look at when it was sent, what the information was. So this is really helpful in cases where you have somebody that says, well, let's say an agent says, I didn't receive the notification, or I didn't receive the email. Well, the Message Center actually displays when it was sent and to whom it was sent, and then that information. It's also good in case a visitor signs up and you just want to take the content of the email and maybe resend it to them. You can log in here and go back to your Message Center, and it's basically any system email that the system has sent out. Account notes. There's a dashboard widget for this as well, and this just shows anytime you have an upgrade, right, or something along those lines. Featured ID set to Office ID. That's for your featured listings, and then various notifications that are basically system notifications. And then here we have, if you have a web developer, you want to put them into the contacts field. When you signed up, typically that web developer will show up here in the contacts area, so they'll be there automatically in most cases. And then billing. Anytime there may be times where your credit card expires, and so you'll be pointed to this screen, and we'll send you a batch of emails. Usually we send an email a day until, and then we give you a 6-day grace period. So we won't, and we charge in advance for each month. We won't shut down your account automatically, but we do like to send that automated reminder to you, and then we'll send it to the primary email address first, and then it goes to all email addresses, or the billing email address, and then it goes to all email addresses for the last email. And then you would just log in here, and from here you can, with Platinum, you can actually use set up ACH. So if you have it set up on credit card now and you want to move to ACH, that's pretty easy to do. Just add edit billing, choose your ACH, and then put in the information. Okay. Another tab that we have here is the Upgrade Center, and this Upgrade Center is actually going through a little bit of a revamp right now. We're gonna give you the option of upgrading, and then also we're looking at adding a feature or two fairly soon that will be a potential add-on for you. So you could add it on if you decide that's a feature that you want. Now, most features, to be clear, most features that we push out are going to be included in the service. So we don't like to create those add-ons or really price things that way. But we do have a couple of different scenarios where we really have to do that in order to, especially in order to handle the bandwidth because of a specific upgrade. So more to come on that. I don't have any details, so please don't ask about that one. You will just stay tuned and check into your dashboard, and we'll notify you when that happens. Account info. This is an area where you can update the account info. We lock down things like website, company name, client name. That's because of the MLS rules, and we have to do that as per the MLS, so we have to lock it down. Custom subdomain is in your hands, though. You can set that up, and in this case, this shows you that our system actually will go out and validate the custom subdomain that you've set up. So if you click on the little question mark here, and then you go to the knowledge base article, follow the instructions to set up a custom subdomain. Most of you should be on a custom subdomain or have that set up. I think about a good portion of Platinum accounts are set up on custom subdomains. But if you're not, and if your links are something.idxbroker.com, then you're going to want to come in here and just research this a little bit, or talk to your designer and set up that custom subdomain, because it's great. It's really helpful in terms of making sure it essentially is creating a subdomain off of your primary domain, much like a www.yourprimarydomain domain is a subdomain of the non-www version of that. So again, that's a topic for an entire webinar, so I won't get into that specific issue, but I will say that setting these up is pretty important to you it should be important to you from an SEO standpoint, and search engine optimization, that is, when I say SEO. Again, I'll try to slow it down a little bit because I know that there's some of you that may not know what these acronyms mean, but there's also a lot of good content online in our knowledge base and in other webinars that should help you with clarifying what those mean. So account info, change password, pretty obvious. This one just changes your password. And then let's go to preferences. So with preferences, you've got a lot of different options here. One of the new options that you're going to be getting with the preferences is this show media refinement option. Now, this is and when I say one of the new things is we're actually on Monday, and there's a couple different things that we're launching on Monday, but on Monday of this week we're going to be launching a new filter that allows you. Let me just show you what this does. So let's say we take this page. So on this page, got that. Actually, that's not a great example. I'm not sure why the media refinement is not showing on that. So, oh, well, this is why. So let me check this. I'll check that box, and now I'll save it, and then I'll hit refresh, and I'll show you what the media refinement does. So here we go. So here's the media refinement. This is has image, has virtual tour, or has open house. So you can filter any front-end search page, or you're giving the user, the visitor, the option to filter. Now, on Monday, we're going to launch a fourth one here that's included there, and eventually we'll add some additional flexibility in terms of whether you want one or multiple. But it's going to be able to filter by featured listings. So if you have the ability to, if you have a lot of listings in your office and you just want to create a search page that only searches your featured listings, you can set that up with the Media Refiner. You can give the people the option to do that. Okay. So, and I'll get into the customization of details pages as well, so that you can see just how that works on the front end for a details page. Searchable location types just show, whether you want to include all these county zips. Show a loading screen, show a logo. For those of you that may have previously been on IDX Broker Original, some of this may look familiar. Some of the items here, some of the options here were just options that were brought over from Original. New search link is a good example. What we've done is we've enhanced a lot of the options, like being able to modify your menu navigation. You can do that now just on the fly. You can drag and drop these. You can clear the menu navigation. This is a search page links. So the links that show up here. And here this is a demo, and so we have occasionally people test some ideas out or test some things out. So this is an on hover. It's doing a switch with the style. Default minimum and maximum. And that's just the search tab. So you have search, results, and details. Those are the three primary types of pages in the system. And so those are the three types of pages. And then, so for instance, a custom link would be considered a results page. It's a custom link results page. A details page is going to have links to things like the schedule showing and things like that. So, and I'll show you that in a minute. So here we have results, and this is just a way to customize your results pages. How many listings do you want to display by default? How many characters in the remarks. There's a tremendous amount that can be done without having to know CSS or without having to actually know any code, and that's what we've tried to accomplish here. Details pages, very similar. What do you want to be as your map provider? Do you want the default? Do you want walk score? Now, we purchased a walk score key for all of our client accounts. So this is this key is essentially, it's a premium walk score account. So what you're getting on that walk score detail on that details page is a premium walk score map. And then the map settings. And I do have a quick question here to respond to. Can we add our own? Can we add walk score and a map to the details page? The map it's one or the other right now. So the mapping is set up so that it's going to show that map and only that map. So there isn't a way to add that directly or add multiple maps. So just so you understand, also we have. This is a good question, and I forget that sometimes in going through this I realize that maybe some people don't know what walk score is. Well, I'll show you exactly what it is. It's just this tool that, especially if you're if they're condos or what have you, and you want to show a map that shows the walkability score. So they generate this is third party, and they generate the walkability score, and then they show different things that are nearby and that sort of thing. So that's your walk score. That's what that does. So here we have map, and again that walks. Once you choose that's automatic. So that just shows up on every details page that you have. So that walk score is automatically pulled in for every details page, and it queries the details of where that property is located, and then shows the proper walk score map. Here you have map settings. So you have a bunch of different map settings here. Refresh map automatically or manually. So by default, because of the server load involved with creating an automatic map refresh, we default to manual. This is one of those settings that for those of you that are on the webinar, it's going to be fine if you go ahead and in fact we're at the point now where We could potentially just make this automatic by default. But what I would do is recommend that you set this to automatic and then save changes. And what's great about that is that, once you do that, let's go back to results. I'll go new search, map search. So the great thing about that is that once you do that, there's no refreshing, there's no refresh button here. It gathers the properties, it displays the properties, and there's no refresh. So I think a lot of you will probably like that. We did recently, just in the last month and a half, we launched some new map features. So we have the ability now we display when you're zoomed, wherever you're zoomed, it doesn't stop at 50 listings. It actually maxes out, so you can zoom out and then it'll cluster. So it'll cluster all the little any listings, and then cluster them when they're close enough together. There's a mathematical formula for that, but that allows you to display all those listings. So anyway, that's the map. You can look up you can set the zoom level. You can set the latitude and longitude. You can look up a new latitude and longitude. So let's say if you have typically the latitude and longitude will be based on your office location, but if you want to base it on a property location or something along those lines, you can put the address in here and we'll do the lookup, and then we'll find the latitude and longitude for you. Pin clustering is exactly what I was showing you there. Do you want the pin clustering on or off, right? So you would set this to enabled or disabled down here, okay? You can set it to enabled or disabled on mobile. So the reason why we separated this out is because in the case of mobile, you may not want somebody to have to tap multiple times to get through, into a specific property. So in that case, you're going to want, and specifically, that's because with the way the mobile pages work. In fact, I'll show you the mobile page right now. Do a quick search. I'll show you a details page. So I have this little gadget called Chrome UA Spoofer, and I would recommend this if you're using Chrome. I think Firefox has something similar, but you can set it up. And what's great about this is that you can turn your browser into essentially a phone. So I don't know why I'm choosing Windows Phone here, but let's go back to iOS and 4, and it looks like we have this the mobile turned off. Let me turn that back on. Okay. So now what you're going to see is I'm going to refresh this page. I'll hit F5, and my browser is now mapped. Now this is the third-party tool. This isn't available through us. You would have to search this out, but it's called Chrome. There's a bunch of tools like it, but it basically spoofs the user agent to the website host, and so we're looking for the user agent. And so now if I hit this, now you can see that there's a mobile experience there, and that's because I've turned the mobile wrappers on. Okay, and so that's what you see now on mobile. And so when you're if there's a map page, or if they're on the map page, then the mobile is going to look. The mobile map will actually have a little icon. Let's take a look at map search. So there's a little, and I shrunk this down to make it look like a mobile device. This is basically if somebody's on your website and they hit the details page, or they hit your website, you send them a link to the map search, right? From wherever, in an email or what have you. They're going to go to a page. If they view that page in their mobile browser, they're going to see a page like this. And the reason that you may want clustering off is just because it makes it harder to zoom in, and this way you can just tap on they can tap on it and they could go to the details page from here. Now the beauty of this layout is that, and having the mobile wrappers on, is that they're basically getting a mobile app experience. So this works in any device. It basically is based on what's called the viewport. So the viewport of the device that says, hey, this is only a 600 pixel wide, device. So display this type of tool or this type of page. That's what we've done. We've created a separate set of wrappers that basically pull in your icon, display your phone number, and create a whole mobile experience that's also able to go through the browser and detect their location so that it zooms into their location, they can find the house that's near them, right? Now, in addition, and one of the advantages over a mobile app is that you can actually modify this. So if I go in from a design standpoint, I won't go into all the details of this, but if you have a designer, they could go in, set up this UA spoofer, and then use something like Firebug to modify the banner color or what have you. So there's a tremendous amount that can be done just by having this set up as, not as an app, but as a, let's go back here, not as an app, but as a HTML and CSS, okay? So let's go back to that page. Now, I know I just threw a lot at you, and that was a cross-reference between the maps and the mobile. But I think it's really important to understand exactly how the mobile pages work, and I can answer some of those questions after the webinar as well. Something else you can do is if you have any questions and you think of them afterwards, just send those questions to webinars@idxbroker.com. Just reply to the email that we sent to you, and we'll get back to you. So let's go to your properties. These are just your featured properties. So with your properties, that's show property photo. A lot of this is self-explanatory in terms of this stuff. And if not, you can click the icon. Property update settings. So this is the from address. So do you want the from address to be something other than your primary email address? What do you want your from address on the property updates to be, right? So that's what this is. You can customize the property line, the subject line. So this is just a way for you to take those property email updates that go out that are based on, in Platinum, they're based on a core field change. So let's say if the status changes but it's still an active status, then you might get the person would get an update on that. If there is a price change, the person's going to get an update on that. And you can set up your own, create your own lead account and then save searches and save properties to get a sense for how that works. But you can also customize this too. And carbon copy is really for something along the lines of, if you want to carbon copy yourself a summary of all the emails that went out, you can come in here and do this. This is very common. A lot of times people, this is by default, it's none, but it's very common for people to create a summary and then email themselves. Have the system email them the summary of all the emails that went out. That way they know, what kind of engagement they're getting from their, from your leads, from your clients. Send property updates. This just allows you to control this, control the daily, weekly, never, and then you can send yourself a sample email update and see how the signature looks or the wrappers or what have you. So, and I'll talk a little bit about, I have people asking me about the sort of autoresponder aspect of this. You can customize those email updates, and I'll show you where that's done in a minute. It's not actually done on this page. So then recipient, this is just BCC or CC on emails, and this is usually notifications, contact page, recipient. Who do you want? Anything that comes through a contact page, you want them to go somewhere. The home valuation, maybe that goes to a specific office address. Sort of niche, use cases. Not going to. It won't apply to most people. This may apply though. If you BCC, you can BCC an office email address every time there's a new lead that comes in. So if you're running an office and you want to just have that blind CC go out every time a lead notification email goes out, you can do that. Or you could just go to the message center and review those every now and then. So the question about the I do have a question here to address about can you drop a picture into the autoresponder? You know, in terms of editing the image, you can add it, but you have to add your own image. So you have to host your own image in this case. Yeah. So share this just allows you. I'll show you what that looks like. Quick question here about what is WYSIWYG. So WYSIWYG. Actually, before I move on, I'll go back. I like some of these questions. They're timely. As I'm in the tab. Sometimes I get questions that are completely unrelated. So I will address those, but just be patient. So here we have WYSIWYG is basically, you know, if you don't want all these little icons and you just want to do raw HTML. It's for those of you that may know a lot about HTML and you just want to do it that way without having to switch back or do this. You know, you can turn it off and then save it. So social, and let's take a look at that. So anytime you have a property, a details page, and this goes for the mobile pages too, and you can turn you have the option of setting the share this. You can even go to share this, and with share this, and I should clarify too. I don't know if I said this, but WYSIWYG means what you see is what you get. That's the acronym. So thank you for pointing that out. I had somebody point that out. So share this is if you go to share this and you set up an account with them, and I'm not sure. I think that you can start with a free account, but essentially you can get a publisher key from them, and then that enables you to track the sharing of any property details pages because it's automatically embedded. Okay, so here you have, you know, in this case you could share Facebook. You want to share this listing on Facebook, you can post this to your Facebook, and it'll actually pull. Take a look here. So one of the great things about the sharing is that we had a lot of requests for this, and so we added it. And if I can find it, it is a little bit of code in the header that automatically refers to OG image. So you have OG image here, meta property OG URL, OG image, and what that does is that tells Facebook and a lot of social sites what to look for when it comes to the URL and the image for a specific page. So we really optimize these to be shared, you know, across the social networks. So that's just one way to do it and make it easy. So you've got that, and then mobile wrappers. I showed you that. Sometimes people don't want to add mobile wrappers to the tablets, and the reason for that is because the tablets sometimes a mobile device or a mobile app experience doesn't quite look as good on like an iPad or something because there's so much, unless it's a map search page. But typically people want on a mobile device or on a tablet, they may just want the whole everything. They may want every search field, everything laid out for them and made easy. So here you have logo information. So you can upload your logo, update your logo, some lead management settings, roster page details for those of you with an Office account, city list, which city list do you want, that sort of thing. You can create city lists too, and I'll get into that in a minute. Email notifications, really pretty standard stuff. You know, what do you want to set up as your time zone? You know, so this one is widget link to form target. So this is if you're framing, maybe. You know, there may be a case where, and I would recommend against that. But if you're framing, then you could set this up so that it opens in a new frame. Opens widget results in a new frame. Mortgage calculator settings, and then the show amortization. So some other things that really don't fit in the main categories. So that is the global preferences page, and that took about 15 minutes. So I'm going to try to speed up here, and I want to show you the saved links especially. I'll show you first the city lists. You can start out with these lists city lists, and actually you can start out with a new one, and you can create a new city list, and you can add from an MLS that you have on your account, or you can add from our core city list, or both, right? So you can add into that city list and then create a custom city list, and then save it, give it a name, and then use that list over and over on different pages, right? So now saved links, let's take a look at those. And again, I could get into, there could be an entire webinar just on the city lists and the use cases for that and so on. So I am going to breeze through some of this stuff. So I apologize for anybody that is hoping to go deeper into the city lists. There's a lot of good content online on in the knowledge base about some of that as well. Saved links. So anytime you have a saved link, you created one, you can come in here and you can customize the CSS or the wrapper for that saved link. Now this is a new feature that I think it's a few months old, and basically you can create a unique wrapper for each page, each link that you created. So let's say I go in here and create a link. I can choose a page that I use for the link. So let's say I want to create a search page link that uses Polygon search, right? So I can come in here, I can define my neighborhood. There's my neighborhood, my area. Now I filter min price, max price, next step. Now the next step is just me giving it a name, right? And we call this SEO settings because it's pretty important for a custom link to have those SEO settings in place. So I've got, I don't know if the apostrophe. So let's go Luke's link, meta tag description. In this case, I won't put anything in there, but I can, if I have an office, I can assign an agent to that link. Okay, and then I would recommend that anytime you create a link, put some content in there. So talk a little bit about the area, what it is, what's important about that link, because those links are really what get gobbled up by the search engines. They love the custom links and these links that have results that are updated every day that are really niche, that in a certain area or a certain type of property or type of listings. So then you'd create the link, and then you can go back to your manage links, and there's my link. So there's my link, and I could create a wrapper. I can preview the link. Now, in this case, I didn't have any listings in that particular area, but you would basically, it would show you the listings, the results for that area. So, and then you can always come back and edit the preferences from those links. Okay. So, and as far as the subheader goes, yeah, you could definitely use something like a community information. What I would do is don't use any information that's already available on the internet. You don't want to, obviously we get a lot of our knowledge from the internet, but just phrase it in a way that is yours and make it unique, because that uniqueness is what really adds value when a search engine, a search bot comes and looks at your site. And we have in fact recently, Googlebot has been hitting our servers so quickly recently that we've had to spin up new instances just to deal with the traffic that we've been getting. So we know that a lot of our users are now, a lot of you are now using the custom links, and you're understanding how to set these up in IDX Broker. You're setting up a custom subdomain. I touched on that a little bit earlier, and there's some good knowledge-based articles on how to set that up, that custom subdomain. Support can also help you as well, so you can always email help@idxbroker.com if you get stuck with that subdomain, the custom subdomain piece. Often that's probably one of the most technical things that people have struggled with, is getting that set up. But it's pretty straightforward if you just follow the knowledge-based article, and then if you get stuck, you can contact support. So setting that up, setting up saved links, creating all these unique saved links. The other thing you can do with saved links is, you can use them. You can email them out. So you can say, let's say you have a saved link for a certain type of property, a property range, and you want to send that out to a client and just give them, hey, look, here I found a great range for you, or some properties for you here in this range, and then you could reuse that over and over. So let's go on to featured ID, and again, I apologize for anybody who is. I'm in cases where I'm not answering your question during the webinar. I see a lot of questions coming through. That's great. We'll definitely pass those on, and any questions that I can't answer during the webinar, I promise not to ignore you. We'll address that later. So here we have feature IDs. If you're running an office and we've set up your office information, you can go in here and select this, save, and then you can basically import the agents directly from the feed. So this is great because as things change, you can come in and modify this. And again, if you run an office, it makes it a lot easier. Anytime you have more agents than are set up for your account, you can go to the account upgrade center and then upgrade and go from there. So this is a great new feature. So one thing we have here is, and this is new. I say new as in it's been about 2 to 3 months since we added this feature, but you have the ability to modify the field name for display. So you can modify some of the field names that are standard. So it's almost like having a raw data feed just fed to your site, but it's hosted obviously on our services. And then we give you through this control panel the ability to customize all these things. So property types. This is great. This was actually launched I think a month and a half ago. You can turn property types on or off, so you can go, if you want let's say if you don't feature multifamily, you don't want people to go to multifamily. You don't want them to have that as an option. You can just make that invisible, right? You can also set your min and max price defaults, okay? And then anytime you have a subtype, let's say you don't focus on a certain subtype, you can go in here and expand and remove the subtypes that you don't focus on, right? So it just makes it easier. Now note that this is global. So this is a global thing, okay? Now this can't be done, so it applies to all pages once you set this. Now it can't be done for the status. So you have property type, subtypes, but it doesn't control status. So you can't hide or display the status. What you can do is create a unique page and do it that way. So I'll get into that a little bit. And sometimes people want to rename the MLS, like, Oregon, Washington this might be renamed to Oregon, Washington or something. So let's keep moving along. I've got about 13 minutes. So here we've got the details page the search pages. This is where you get all your links, and you can choose the layouts. So you can come in here and activate new layouts. Layout is basically like a template, right? So you can choose a new template, and our goal is to really, in 2014, really start giving you even more options on the template side, so that you have some of these options out of the box. Anytime you see a layout edit option, that's going to have a template in it. Now, sometimes you'll see a little refresh icon here. It's not shown. Oh, there. I'm not sure why. So this one doesn't allow you to edit, but so what we've done is we've assumed that you don't necessarily want to get the update to every template automatically, and so we'll probably set up a rule at some point that where yes, you can toggle that on or off, so you don't have to click all these. But anytime you see a little refresh icon, that just means I want to update the template. So sometimes we'll find bugs in templates or what have you, and we'll send you to the next version of the template. So we don't do that in a way that we do our best to make sure that it doesn't change a whole lot, but it makes things better. So, but just for your sake, that's what that update is, that refresh icon. Now here we've got you can get the code, get the link. Here you've got preferences. So in the preferences for each search page, you can come in here and set the default list, change the name. And in here, you can do things like let's say you want a page that only displays searches featured listings when we launch that on Monday. So you've got these turned on, right? So these are all showing up. You could hide these and it'll show you up on the left-hand side what's hidden. You can hide those except for the featured listings, and then have that listed there, and then and then save the results, and then that specific page will be set up that way. So you can really hide anything that you want. Okay, so you could do this. You could have status active, and then you could hide, and then save. So there's a lot that you can do with that. Now with the cert, with any page, you can set up request registration or force registration at the page level. Okay, so you can set this up as recurring or non-recurring. So this should be pretty clear. Do you want it to recur? Do you want it not? Do you want them to get that request every 5 pages or not? Do you want it just once? You can redirect to your third party if you want. You can customize the message if you want. So let's go back to pages, and I'll speed right along here as well, just so I get through almost everything. So here, this is where you would modify, and I'm going through this quickly just to show you sort of how this is set up initially, because I want to get to lead capture here and cover enough of that. I'm getting a lot of lead questions. So here you've got customize, and from here you can customize things like, let's say you want a page that only searches condos, and you want to hide that, or maybe by default you want to display it, but you only want it to search condos. You can keep it hidden, apply, and then for this URL, for this search page, all of these items will filter by that condo type, subtype. So in other words, you could rename this. You could create a new search page here, and this is hidden. It was initially, we hid it because we were a little bit concerned about the technical aspects of it, and that people may get into it and get confused. It's hidden on purpose. We'll probably make it a little more visible, but this is where you find it. You can go in and create a new page, choose a template, okay, and from that template, once you create that page, you can call it condos. That's your new page called condos, and then you can go in and do what I just showed you, which was, go in and let's go back to pages. Now I've got my condos page. Now I'm going to go into, see, what do we want? We want, actually I chose the wrong template because, I chose the wrong template because it's a basic search template, and you would want to choose a condos template that has advanced search fields and then filter by that subtype. So again, I'm getting, I don't want to get too far into the trees here. I'm going to stay at the forest level so you guys understand what's going on. But it's a pretty amazing feature. You can create just an unlimited number of pages. You can, you can send out search pages. You can set up search pages and put them on your home page and just say, hey, search these type of properties, and everything looks just like your website. So pretty powerful. Widgets. We have a lot of default widgets here, and then you can create a widget. Now this is a new feature we just added a couple of months ago, or I'm sorry, a few weeks ago, and it's called the Polygon Search Showcase, and I believe Slideshow too. And you can create a Polygon search for an area, and then that search area is the criteria for your widget name, for your showcase. So your showcase, you need a width too. So now the showcase, well, hopefully there's some properties on this one. There might not be because let me see. Yeah, too bad. But if you had the right area and there were properties in there, then it would show the properties. It would showcase only the properties in that, in that defined area that you created, right? So this area, this specific area. I think this has to do with the MLS that I have turned on the account, so that's why it's not showing. So that's how you would add that. But there are an unlimited number of widgets here, and you can add all of those. If you have WordPress, you hit refresh in your WordPress page, and it'll refresh it, pull it into WordPress, and you can add it from there. So and just for the record, this is for you to create a widget. So this is you create a widget and then you add the code to your site. This is not for the front end. So we do have, and and this will actually be, I'll send this out in the poll, but we do have some requests for having a front-end Polygon search, and so we don't have that. We don't have the front-end Polygon search built. That's not what there is a front-end results. So it'll show the Polygon and then it'll show the results, but it's not set up for the front-end Polygon. The reason why we did that is because in most cases, many of the requests that we had for the Polygon search really started and ended with, hey, the data that I'm getting for these neighborhoods is really not very good, and so I'd like to be able to map the outline myself and get only the results for a specific neighborhood. So that's why we started with that. Now, we are planning to roll out that front-end Polygon as well. So let's go to leads and take a look at that. So here with leads, you have filters, you have a lot of different options. When somebody comes in and they sign up initially, and or let's say they don't sign up. Let's say they come in through a details page. They fill in the details page form, and they go to a status called no account. And what that means is we built this, I think, 2.5 months ago. What this does is this allows you to convert that account, so you can actually activate that account. And what that does is it sends that person an email, and it says, hey, you signed up for the listing manager, or it looks like you've asked for more information. We've converted you to this account, and this is only for those that have submitted a form through and haven't gone through the sign up. So if they've gone through the sign up, then they'll come in as unverified and go from there. So if you want to see what that text looks like, you can definitely take a look at that. Just sign up for an account yourself, and then you can come in here and just switch it from no account to an account. So anytime you want to send the credentials to your lead, you can do that here as well if they have an account. Okay, you can see any notes here, so you can see the system syndication log, things like that. You'll see all the notes for that particular lead. And and then if you go to the lead info, you can see all kinds of things like, what are the pages they looked at recently, what sort of property updates did they receive, do they have any saved properties, do they have any saved searches, and you can add a saved search for a lead. So you could actually go and create a saved search that's based on a certain criteria for a lead and save that, and then that person will, the next time the data gets run, they'll receive an email update if there's listings that fit that criteria. And then you can edit the lead information here if, let's say, they gave you the wrong email address or what have you. And you can also assign to an agent from here as well if you have an office account. And then of course the lead notes. And you can add your own notes as well. So you can add a note there. So that's leads. There's also another option here, and I do have a question here about updates and leads. Can these go out more than once a day? Right now we don't have that option to send those more than once a day, but we will be working on that. We're hoping to have something. I don't want to give to promise that it will be this year, but we'd love to have a feature like that this year because of especially if you have multiple updates. So import leads, you can, if you set up the information this way, it just gives you the instructions on how to do that, and then you can upload the file, and then you can import your own leads. Okay, lead registration preferences, you can choose all kinds of things here. Your thank you page, you can customize that. You can put in a tracking code. This is the CRM integration that I referred to earlier. So if you have top producer, you can click yes, and then here are your credentials for that. Okay, and then here with Tribus, same. Global registration, I'll just skip. The cleanup is easy, pretty straightforward. This is just registration for certain pages. This shows you what kind of lead registration you have set up. So you have a lot of power in terms of doing that. If you have an Office account, you can set up lead routing, and lead routing gives you things like, you can set up a contact route that is round robin, but also for a certain area. So that's pretty powerful. You can export your information as needed, whatever you want to export. Listing information, here's your active listing information. You can see the number of views. If for some reason the listing is off somehow, you can modify this. Not sure why that map isn't there, but you can modify that listing information. And supplemental, you've got anytime you have supplemental listings, you can add those in. Syndication is listed here, so you can set that up, and we syndicate automatically to Trulia, so it's automatically, you just turn that on. And then agents, offices, rosters. I won't get into all the office features today, but I do want to touch just on one thing that comes up quite a bit, and that is the global registration and what works and what doesn't work. Okay, this is a great question. I'm glad somebody brought this up. So what really doesn't work is when you force and then you say, hey, I'm just gonna hit them with a 1. After the first page, they're gonna hit the registration page, and in most cases that will not work, because what happens is it's gonna send your traffic elsewhere. Okay, now you do want that lead information. So I mean, you're hoping that, hey, I'm delivering some value. You're on my site. Make it a request. Make it a soft lead capture approach. So you could be recurring or non-recurring. If you're only going to go with lead request, I would say you could do recurring, and you could do maybe every 5th, every 8th. When we ran a study, we studied this. This was actually a couple of years ago on the original platform, and we found that for the most part, a recurring lead registration at 3 to 5, and then you could force at 8. But I think as time goes on, people are less likely to stay on the site. So 2 years from that point that we last looked at it, I think it's fair to assume that you're going to be better off with a higher force number. So you could set this to, I don't know, if you want to set it at 15 or some high number, so it rarely gets hit, except for the people that you feel are coming back but never really fully engaging with you. Now the other thing you can do is, and I would recommend this, is really advertise the value to people. So put that listing manager, and we're going to run over a little bit, but that's okay. Hopefully not too many of you have something lined up here at 2 Pacific. But so let's look at the email update sign up. So this is a great way to kind of gather that information, but in a soft way. You just say, hey, perform a search, and then after the search is set up, or they perform it, then it goes to this personalized listing manager account, and that's a link. That's a page link that's available to you. You also have a widget, a sign-up widget, so you could put that sign-up widget in your sidebar or somewhere on your home page and say, hey, sign up for new listing emails. And then you can contact, once you get their information, then you can contact them and say, hey, what are you looking for? I can set this up for you. I can set up a saved search. Maybe I found a few properties for you, and I can just keep an eye on those, and then if there are any changes in the property, you'll get an automatic update. And of course, you can BCC yourself so that you'll receive those as well. So there's a lot that can be done there with the lead capture. And but back to the basic question there or the general question around, what's best, what's not. I would say that on the details page, you're going to want to have that set up at recurring, and maybe anywhere from 5 to 8, or I'm sorry, I think I said 3 to 5, and then that way. And then you can also look at your bounce rates if you have Google Analytics set up. Again, this may be, if you don't have Google Analytics, you're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about. But bounce rates are pretty important because it tells you how quickly people bounce off of your site, and you can track that. So you could set up lead capture, and then change the lead capture settings, and then keep an eye on your bounce rates. And then if your bounce rates go down when you increase the lead capture, but then your lead capture stays the same, you're capturing the same number of leads, then you're on the right track. Okay. So you always want to try to bring those bounce rates down. So that's the answer to the lead capture. The other thing is that I would also recommend, and you could do this, you could do a hard lead capture as well. This was part of the results as well. You could do a hard lead capture on the photo gallery. So you could allow everybody to view the details page, maybe have a high request rate, but then on the photo gallery, set up a 1 or something on the forced registration, save that, and then if somebody hits the photo gallery, it says, oh, well, sorry, you can't. If you want to see the photos, you're going to please just create an account really quickly, and we'll redirect you to the photo page. Okay. So that hopefully that covers the recommendation there in terms of lead registration preferences. Thank you again, and have a great day.